Welcome back to the channel, guys. Definitely appreciate the support. Zando Football. I want to apologize for the long disappearance. You guys know me. If you've been on my channel for some years, it could be any day, any time. 1 minute, I'm just gone. And it's the common denominator is the same. I get frustrated with something with the game, and one morning I wake up and I'm like, you know what, I don't want to play this anymore. And that's what happened. I could tell you the exact concept that pissed me off to the point where I was like, you know what, I'm so sick of it, and I just wanted to like take a long break. But maybe I'll get into that into a different video, because I really just want to, I wanted to shake off the rust. I don't know what it was this morning. I was doing something, and for whatever reason, I got the itch to want to. I was doing something. I don't remember what I was doing, but out of nowhere, I started thinking about defensive concepts and things you can do against bunch and in and out type of deal. It's just kind of weird. It just hits my brain. I'm like, oh man, you kind of get excited. You want to start doing stuff with football, and the only thing we have is Madden. So I'm like, you know what? Let me go ahead and brush off the rust, and maybe I'll start making some videos. So I started playing. I played a couple of games today, and I ran into a subject that I think would be worthy of a video. So that's the point of this video. And I don't know what I'm going to title it. I think I'll title it Spot Drop or Man Match. So in other words, when you get in a situation, this is a very simple video, but I think it is a very a necessary video where I really do think, sometimes we may complicate things on defense when we are deciding to, pick a coverage that we want to deal with a particular opponent. And when you run into guys who don't understand route concepts or offenses and things of that nature, the whole purpose of different concepts and passing concepts, those are the type of players where you may get into trouble playing traditional type of defenses. All right. So I just want to show you something. So let's look at this play right here. Right. So, this is the whole point of the video where, remember, I've always stated that I hate spot drop coverage, traditional stuff like cover 2, cover 3 stock. Right. But then I learned to love it when I finally, I asked myself this question when I was playing against a guy, and it just hit me, and that's what we're going to go over here. So we're going to look at this play here. This is what we have. So maybe I'll put it on the board here. Empty flood switch. So what would you play against this, right? So I think what we had was something like this. Deep out. You go. Back motion, and then we had almost like a levels concept here, right? All right. So this is why I've never liked spot drop coverage, right? But the more accurate, the better, I guess the proper way of saying it is, you know what? I don't like spot drop coverage against specific offenses. That should be the better way of putting it. And the reason why I say that is because spot drop coverage against a play like this, to me, is terrible. And the reason why it is because, let's say we're playing cover 2, right? Reroute, kind of sink, vert hook player, open his hips to the 3, vert hook, reroute, right? And then we have our deep halves. Okay? In like a traditional spot drop type of cover 2 zone like this, okay, the offense should have no problem darting this up with this play. Okay? The defense really would have to rely on the front 4 getting immense pressure. But if the offensive line can hold up, there's just no reason why you shouldn't be able to complete a pass on this play for a good gain. And the reason why that is because we have a lot of ways to put defenders into conflict, right? That's what the passing game really, to me, is what it's all about. It's all about, well, actually football, the running game, the passing game, everything is about putting players into conflict, all right? Where we put you in a position to where you're never right. That's the point. And you do that by vertically stretching defenders or horizontally stretching defenders, or doing both, where you get like a triangle read, right? So in an instance like this, where we have this little in by the 1, which was the running back who motioned out, and this number 2 running like a deep in pattern, right? All right. A situation like this, these backers can just never be right, right? If this backer decides to hinge into the window of this, then we have this window wide open underneath to throw under, right? However, if he decides to jump this route here, then this window here is wide open for the dig over the top, right? We're just stretching these defenders. And the same goes with this Mike. If we were to end up at this point here, right? All right. Sometimes he could be in the middle of nowhere, right? Where he's really not defending either, right? But in that situation, you would just dump it off here. But the second he overrides that and jumps all over that, well, then the window's wide open for this guy over the top, right? And it's because these guys, especially the safety on this side, he's forced to honor. We have a deep go hitting down the sideline on this side of the field, right? He cannot play into the window of this deep dig if the Mike were to jump on this underneath in. He can if he wants to, right? If he were to jump, let's see, we get something like this, right? Where he jumps that, because the Mike overplays that. Well, then now this corner who's kind of sinking underneath this, I mean, it's just wide open deep down the field, right? In other words, we're just putting players into conflict with this play, right? Now, let's move on. So this is a situation where playing something like cover 2 is terrible, or spot drop coverage, right? Now, let's put like quarters on the field, like it's just a traditional quarters defense. All right, so we'll do the same play. Motion out, what was he, like an in? All right. And, I don't want to make this too long. So, man, I'm kind of rusty here. So we know the bubble is here, so he's 2-1. He's 1-2. He would be 2-1. He would be 1-2. So the Mike would be forced to run with this route. All right. Corner would be manned up on this route. This guy would be able to help, right? Because 2 is not past linebacker depth, right? So he could take that. So he could actually help on this number 3 here, right? He would be manned up on this inside leverage, and this guy would be able to take this, and he could zone off the quarter, right? So here we see this is where you get a situation where it's, okay, do I want to play spot drop or do I want to play man match, right? And usually I resort to man match when the offense that I'm dealing with is doing a lot of high-low, horizontally stretching type of deal, right? Where, playing spot drop, you could just never be right. And this is where man match principles to me is better, because we kind of maintain leverage on routes and we kind of match routes down the field to where we kind of don't get in a position to where we are high load, right? This is just a traditional quarters defense against this, where spot drop coverage would be terrible, right? So you may ask the question, okay, well, why not just play man match all the time? Where would there be a situation where spot drop is actually better than man match? And I used to think that there would just never be a situation where spot drop is better. But there is situations to where spot drop coverage is actually better against the particular offense that you are dealing with. And I'll show you an example. And this is where, you can kind of alleviate a lot of different issues that you may run into playing against certain players online who run offenses that don't make sense, right? So let's look at this play here, right? This is a situation where I would play spot drop like cover 2. And I think that would be so much better against a play like this as opposed to like a man match coverage or like a man-to-man coverage. And the reason why that is because there is no, where do you see like a high-low potential in this play, right? Yeah, you may see something here, right? But it's so jumbled up. This is more so something that I think would be more so something that gets man-to-man coverage, where we can kind of get like some rub action here, right? And if we don't like it, then we can look for the deep dig over the top, right? But in essence, this is not a play, I think, that is designed to attack pure spot drop zone, because not a lot of our defenders will be put into conflict against a play like this, right? So this is an example where someone may ask, hey, I'm having trouble against this play. What do you think I should do? When I play match, I get in trouble. When I play man-to-man coverage, I would get in trouble, right? But looking at this play, why would you ever want to play man coverage against this, right? In order to beat man, and now this is oversimplifying it, so don't hold this to heart, but in order to beat man, a lot of times you just run routes that run away from man, right? So you got a guy manning up with this, you got a guy manning up with this, and we can potentially run into each other, and now someone's breaking wide open into the flat, right? I mean, these are all runoff routes where you can get into a lot of trouble with man coverage, right? And that's the thing with man match. Yeah, we're playing zone at first, and then we're matching after that. But you're matching into man, and you turn into man, and now we're running with these routes, and we can potentially get rubbed and picked off, right? Now, obviously, that's just oversimplifying it. I'm pretty sure there's match coverages that would be decent against this, but why not play spot drop zone coverage, right? If you think about it, let's think about cover two here. Let's just put real simple stuff here. Nickel, we'll put backers here. Corner, and I'll put a safety here. 6-7, right? Flat, vert hook, mid read, vert hook, deep half, right? How is this corner being in conflict, right? The only way he would be put into conflict is this late release into the flat. These guys are kind of hitting the same area, right? He could kind of almost, if he plays with depth over this, I mean, this would not be a problem for this corner, at least in this play, all right? This backer is not put into conflict. This backer is not put into conflict. I mean, maybe high load with these routes here, but these routes, by the time they develop, they don't develop at the same time, right? What I mean by that is, by the time this guy gets about here, I mean, this route is not going to be deep over the middle, right? It's just not time route with the way the routes kind of develop, right? You know what I mean? This is more of a man-beating play. This is where something like spot drop coverage, you may think that that's something that you would never play. But against, I'm telling you, against guys who play online, who have, I'm not trying to be rude, they have no clue about offensive passing schemes and passing concepts and dragon concept, lion concept, all that, Salem concept. They have no idea about any of that stuff, right? Against those players, cover 2 spot drop and cover 3 spot drop is king, right? Because none of your defenders are being put into conflict. So I ran into this guy where this is literally all he ran. He ran this play over and over again. And I was playing like match at first. And then I thought about it. I'm like, well, why don't I just play spot drop? And none of my defenders are being put into conflict. And then I could adjust to what he's doing and decide on what player I want to use her to optimize the play, right? So one thing he was also doing was he was snapping the ball and just immediately trying to run out of the pocket to get like a better angle to throw some of these routes. So what you can do with that is you can just play quarterback contain. So the second he tries to run out of the pocket, we could just contain him for a sack. So that's exactly what happens here. We get a sack, right? So, this is another sack, I think. I think he was running a different play, but I'm just showing you the kind of mindset of this player. Obviously, it's not a great player, guys, but I'm telling you, man, you could run into somebody who thrashes people online with some of their offenses. What I think you should do is look at their offense, look at what scheme they're running, and one of the first questions I think you should ask yourself is, where's the high lows? Where's the vertical stretches in the passing scheme that they're running? Where's the horizontal stretching? Like, where are they putting defenders in a conflict? If the answer is nowhere, then that's where spot drop is probably better than man match, right? It's the whole point of this video. All right, so I think I'll show you a couple of plays where, okay, so here's another thing too. So now he's running something else because I think it's like 4th and something, right? But when you run into a player who runs a play over and over and over again to where it's just cheesy slant drags all over the place, right? There's no structure in his offense. Usually that's a telltale sign that he doesn't understand passing concepts. So whenever he runs like a different formation, I could still stay in cover 2 zone, not expecting to be put into conflict anywhere on the field anyways, right? So I'm like, all right, I don't know what he's going to do. It's like 4th and 13, so I'm going to run cover 2 anyways. Against a traditional offense that stretches defenders, I would hate to play spot drop cover 2 against a formation like this. But knowing the player and it's 4th and 13, I can just play cover 2, expecting not to be put into conflict, play pass commit, so, we're not driving on routes. And we can just stack above the first down line, wait for him to throw something underneath, and drive and make a tackle, right? So we're going to see here that our 3-rec, I believe he runs up the field and he actually matches the route, right? Which allows me to take on, someone comes underneath and I just stack it, right? What I mean by stack is I don't drive on the route when I see the route coming underneath, okay? I let the ball take me to the player, right? See, a mistake here would be for me to drive on this right now, right? And the reason why that is because when I drive on this, all right, and he decides to not throw it, if something enters into this window here, well, I left it wide open for him to throw it right behind me, right? Again, that would be me getting high load, right? Why not stay above the first down line because it's 4th and 13, leave this underneath, and he can throw it underneath, and then we could just rally and make a tackle, right? So looking at this play, who's getting high load here, right? The only potential high-low here are these two players here, but due to the down and distance, all right, we could just hang in the window here and again rally to make a play here, right? We got a potential high-low here, but because we played pass commit, our cloud corner is stacking the deepest of these two, because if you throw it underneath, he's just going to rally and make a tackle, right? So he has nowhere to go on this play. He has to dump it underneath, and then we can just rally and make a tackle. And he couldn't even do that because he got sacked, right? If you have a front four that can get pressure, then that's where spot drop is also very good as well, because then you get 22 eyeballs on the quarterback. Why don't I just keep going? I don't want this video to be too long. I think it already is. So I think this was the play, right? I mean, look what we got here. We got this underneath rub action. Over the top, he goes to the flat. I mean, this is where I think he has nowhere to go, so then he just tries to run for it. And, you know, if he gets a first down, that's good. If not, you know, then that's something that we, later on in the game, you know, that's what you want. You know, if you get it to where he has nowhere to go and he has to run with the quarterback, that's fine. You know, we keep it that way, and the next time he tries to run forward, then we can kind of figure out a way to kind of contain him into the pocket, right? But it's always a good thing when the quarterback has nowhere to go and he's forced to kind of make a decision to kind of run forward or throw it away. That's where good things can happen for your defense, right? So before we move on to looking at some more plays here, I mean, these are traditional offenses. This is why I cringe. I'm not trying to take shots at anyone, guys, okay? But I know you guys have seen it to where you go to like a YouTube channel. There's millions of them, right? And they hey, I want you to gonna go over my offensive ebook. And they show you a play, and they're like, all right, we're going to go over Y corner here, right? And they show the play, right? And they say, all right, this is what you got to do with the play. And then they hot route, hot route, hot route. They do like 3 hot routes, right? To where, like, the new play has nothing to do with Y corner. It's not even Y corner anymore, right? It's just nothing but hot routes, right? And usually when they do that, they're kind of messing with the play in a way to where they're not really... They're working away from the overall concept of the play, right? Just take a look at some videos, take a look at some different offensive schemes, and just ask yourself, where are the vertical stretches happening? Where are the horizontal stretches happening? Where are players being put into conflict with their particular scheme? If the answer is no one, well, then that's something that you can utilize in your defensive approach to better defend what they are doing by playing probably more spot drop type zone coverages, and then deciding who you are going to use to optimize the play. And I'll show you what I mean by that as well, right? So we can look at this. Obviously, we're going to get some players put into conflict here when playing spot drop zone, right? If we were to play single high cover 3, we got a problem over here because we got a curl flat, right? The curl flat defender can never be right. He will widen to the curl, and if he does, we can throw to the flat. If he drives on the flat, we can throw to curl, right? This is an example of putting players into conflict. This is what, you know, different plays are meant to do, right? Here we have an example of, I forgot what they call this. Kurt Warner went over this in one of his videos, but we'll just go ahead and move on. But that's what I'm primarily looking at. So you may look at something like this, all right? Well, you know, this doesn't look like anyone's being put into conflict, right? Because if you have cover two, you got your backers here, corner, safety, safety, right? They can just be in the window of this throw here. Well, that's what the play action is for, right? So with these linebackers, when they're looking into the backfield and they are run fit defenders, this is where you kind of get a better understanding of what the play is trying to do. The play action is trying to draw these players up into the line of scrimmage to where it kind of opens up the window for this particular this crossing route behind it, right? So yes, I mean you can put players in conflict with play action, routes that supplement one another, etc. Right? I mean football is just a beautiful and complicated game, right? High low here. I mean this is an example where you get a high low here, and then here the Ohio concept. I think they like to run this against like cover two man, where again we're playing inside leverage here, safety over the top. He kind of runs this corner out of there, and he's deep half safety. And because you're inside leverage, I'm now running out, and the quarterback has a window to throw that. And this is another thing that I don't like about Madden, because I've noticed when you run the Ohio concept, I haven't checked it for this year, I don't think, they kind of have it to where this route doesn't get open as much as it should against two man, in my opinion. And it kind of messes with the overall rock, paper, scissors. I hate to simplify it that way, because, in essence, when you're running the Ohio concept and you're beating two man, or maybe that you're beating up on this corner here who's out leveraged to the out, what a team on defense can do is they can present that same look, right? Baiting you to run this Ohio concept, but then they're running cover five cougar, right? Instead of them playing cover five, which is cover two man, now we're running cover five cougar. We're baiting you to get the same presentation of two man. And this guy's reading the number two. If two runs out, then he's going to leak off. He's going to do a full man turn and then leak off and jump that out route, right? And the quarterback, when he sees this presentation, snap the ball, right? Sees the corner turn, do a full man turn. All right, it's definitely cover two man, right? That's what he's thinking. Looks at the number two and he sees this guy inside leverage, right? All right, I have him out leveraged to the out. I'm going to throw the out. He throws it, and this guy leaks off and jumps the route, right? And I think in this instance, what this guy is supposed to do is he's supposed to cut the number one if number two goes out when you're running cover five cougar, right? But what's the point of running cover five cougar if that is something that you utilize to trap an Ohio concept? What's the point of running that if cover two man in the game is good against Ohio concept in the first place when it shouldn't be, right? At least in my opinion. And then that kind of leads into the issue where, well, we don't have cover five cougar in the game, because what's the point of having it in the game, right? It's just like a compound effect that kind of ruins the game. And I don't want to complain, so I don't even know how I got into that. It's kind of bad. So I was in the Miami Playbook, so I'm going to play like 2 or 3 games. And, I was kind of surprised at all the unique stuff that they have in the Miami Playbook. So this was something that I ran. But again, I like high-low stuff. I like the cheat motion that they have here, is what they call it. High-low here, and I'm pretty sure I can do a lot of stuff with this playbook because it seems pretty unique. But we're not going to get into that in this video. So we'll move on. I think we'll move on into a new game. Let's see what's happening here. I want to finish out this video. So now this is the same game. 2nd and 10, 19 seconds left to go in the half. I'm just running cover 2. And I believe he threw an interception here. No, he got sacked. But again, he had nowhere to go on that play. So he ran the 4 verticals. Now you may think, okay, cover 2 will get in trouble here. In actuality, it's not a big problem. Why not just go ahead and run it? Because we got to get... I'm only halfway through this. I kind of got to push this on. Right, but if you go back... I hate to do it, guys. Let's just go back real quick. All right. He kind of reroutes. You kind of want him to reroute him inside to help out your safety. Right? You really don't like him taking an outside release here. But I guess the corner's forcing it that way. He wants to stretch this defender. But as you can see here, I mean, because the corner is sinking with this guy, because there's nothing underneath to hold him, and we're playing pass commit, right? That kind of lessens the stress on the safety to where you could play a little bit further inside, right? So you would have to put a perfect ball to fit it in this honey hole with this guy kind of sinking underneath here, right? Um, our three receiver hook player is sinking with the number 3 up the field. I mean, there's no one really being stretched here. The corner can sink here. I mean, see, on paper, it may seem like this play would torch cover 2 zone, but when you really look at it, you know, if the players kind of sink when they're supposed to, when they're not being threatened underneath, and plus we have pass commit here, right? We can see how spot drop isn't as bad as what you may think it would be against an offense like this, a play like this, right? And obviously, I picked the vertical hook on the weak side, right? So we can better optimize how we play on defense, because the computer would have this guy like somewhere here, and then there would be a big window here, right? So that's what I mean by picking the best player to user on defense based upon what your opponent is doing. Because there may be times where spot drop may be good, right? But then you have a problem because your safety is not playing something right. And that's an instance to where, okay, well, you got to user this guy, and you can make a spot drop coverage play so much better. All right, so, you know, I need to go ahead and get this over with. I'm sorry for the long videos, guys. That's why I have timestamps. I know I may be a slow-paced YouTube content creator, but it's the only way I know how to roll, I guess. Yeah, so this is where he threw an interception. You can rewind that, but you can see how, you know, I just rode upfield, and there was nothing threatening my space, and I can continue to sink right into the window, and we get an interception. So I think this is the point where I move on to the next game. And, you know, I guess this is why I decided to make this video, because in the next game, I ran into a guy who was playing with the Chiefs, and he was literally running the same play over and over again. I'm like, well, I'm just going to run the spot drop cover 2 again. And I'm like, you know what? Why don't I just go ahead and make a video on this? I decided to throw this in here because I thought this was a unique, nice play out of the Miami Playbook. I thought this was pretty cool. Little fake jet sweep, toss to the running back. I thought that was pretty cool. So yeah, this is the next game. And he was running the same, the play that I showed earlier, where let's get this drag action underneath. Forgot how it is. Maybe an in and a post. I don't know. But I mean, as you can see, even with me drawing it, there's just like, it's just like rub action, right? And that's where man-to-man coverage would be terrible. Why would you ever want to play man-to-man coverage against this, right? So again, this is just the overratedness of Travis Kelce in the game. He's able to catch that, but you can see that was such a tight window, right? And you can see that none of our defenders are being stretched anywhere. We're playing just stock cover 2 zone. And on this play, I was pass committing down, so where we were playing hard flat, because he just wanted to constantly throw these underneath routes to the flat, and I was quarterback containing. He just had nowhere to go. He was struggling the entire game. I think his only points came where he broke contain on one play, and he threw a deep bomb, and that's when I was like, okay, I got to quarterback contain this guy. Right, so, you know, I think I'll leave it at that, guys. You know, hopefully this wasn't too long of a video, but hopefully, you know, I kind of got my point across. You know, when it comes to making the decision on whether or not you should play spot drop or some type of man match coverage. Now, obviously, I'm oversimplifying it. There may be times where, even though there are no defenders getting stretched based upon the offensive play, it may be better to play man match. And on the flip side of that, when someone is getting vertically stretched, it may be times where spot drop is better. I'm just giving you my opinion on things when it comes for the bigger picture of things. Mostly, the first thing I'm looking at when I'm playing against someone new I've never played before, I pay attention to the structure of their offense. And if I notice that no defenders, they're not properly stretching defenders and not running passing concepts, and I'm not getting high load or horizontally stretched anywhere on the field, that's where spot drop coverage is probably king. And then you can optimize the play and use the right defender to make the play a lot better. All right, so I'll leave it at that. Hope you got something from this video, and hopefully I stick around, man. Peace.